Hey there, welcome back to the neighborhood tours of Laurendale. We're going to pick up right where we left off last time. So after leaving East Point, this is going to be the neighborhood of Old Town, the old commercial district. So let's get right into it. Alright, so we're going to start our tour of Old Town here. To give you a little bit of bearing, we're back on the corner of Ledman Street. And where are we? Ledman and Knightley. Chrissy's Pub you'll recognize from our last video of East Point. As we leave East Point, we immediately start off here with the Central Fire Department. This is a building that we have rebuilt. So as I said before, a lot of the buildings in this area are a little old and outdated. This is not one of those, and I'm pretty happy with how this one's looking so far. I say that as I obviously see that it needs some furniture models, but it's not original, which in my opinion is a good thing. We've got some living quarters up here. We see a little TV, and I think, yeah, this would be our bunks. And of course a fire pole. There's got to be roof access somewhere, but I'm not going to go looking for it. Not that important, but and we go down here, and I missed. I'll go around this side, I guess. There we go. Wait. Alright, and onwards from there. I'm having a little too much fun right off the bat. So that's our Central Fire Department. Right here, there's no access from this side, but this is just an access tunnel down to the underpass that's below us before. We started to look at it a little bit in the last video, but we'll get down there at some point. So right across from the public library where we started the last video, we've got Franklin Towers. This is a big just residential apartment building. I won't say exact replica, but this was my first attempt at an exact replica of a real building. This is, at the time, this was the tallest building in my state. So I rebuilt it as best of my ability. You can definitely see that the the era this was built in. There's lots of. I wasn't that concerned about textures. Lots of just stone and whatever worked. We do have some security doors here that will that open to the outside. But this building is entirely fleshed out. So all these apartments, while they don't necessarily look the best, are built out. And I think a couple of them are furnished, because I think I had a couple of friends who moved into some of these apartments. That was a thing I did for a while, was anybody that came into the world, came into this city, I had them kind of choose a place to live. So as we move through the city, we'll probably come across a few of my friends' old buildings. Yeah, or friends' old apartments. And they will be furnished and filled out a little differently than I would necessarily do them, just because I had them do them themselves. So they'll use whatever models they decided to use. Yeah, but I'm not going to go through this whole thing. This is how the building works. On the left here, we've got our first real skyscraper that we're covering in this video, which I believe it says Global here on the corner. I'm not 100% sure what this company was supposed to be. This one has really been updated a bit. This is one of the few where I sort of started sort of boxing you out. So you can't get into this building other than the bottom floor, just because the only buildings I really didn't do entire interiors for were the towers, because I don't want to do that. And also I kind of force perspective a bit when I get tall, so that these buildings can look taller while really having not as much height. So those floors up there would be pretty compact. But we've got what I think I planned to be a restaurant down here on the first floor. But I think I kind of left it as a vacant space right now, like ready for someone to move into. But Yeah. And if you come down here, this is Foster Street, Foster and Ledman. We've got, this is the end of the overpass that goes over East Point, that goes to the East Point Bridge. So this is how you would get onto that bridge. Right here, we've got another building that really doesn't have an interior, just because this actually was something I found, something I found online that I decided to kind of imitate. Big communications building, but I didn't do an interior because, frankly, I don't know what goes into a building like this, and this kind of felt like one of those buildings that nobody ever goes into anyway, so you never see. It's kind of ominous and mysterious. So this one I really left empty on purpose. We've got a big parking structure here that goes to this tower that we'll get to in a minute. This parking structure has been rebuilt entirely. I doubt I've got a picture of the old one anywhere, but it was very small. It was split in two. It had a road running through it. Didn't make a lot of sense, but we've kind of brought it up to today's standards a bit. Got a little stairwell building with some elevators. Alright, so we come back out here out of the parking garage. Now this is sort of still a street here. Technically the parking garage starts there. So this is still a public street. This would be Foster Street that existed before the parking garage was this big. So this would be sort of unaffiliated parking. This is just some public parking out here. This is how you'd access this sort of little peninsula area. We've got a little gift shop here. Tiny little pub. Kind of like beachy stuff, even though it's not really a beach right here. And we've got a little restaurant. Again, furniture needs to happen. That might be a thing that I do one day, just go through the whole city and replace furniture places, because a lot of these older builds that have just kind of stood here for a long time, I haven't gone back through them and brought them up to today's standards. But we've got this little complex here of kind of beachy buildings with this parking out the end. If we go down here, we'll see the continuation of the water walk, the waterfront walk here that we saw in the last video. Comes all the way around and continues on this way. And if you come down here, we've got Outlook Island cruises. This is just going to be a ferry dock to this little boat here that will bring you out to Outlook Island and the tower out there. So let's go take a look. So when we land on the island, it's just a straight path back here, and I'd imagine that there'd be some kind of a tour guide that would bring you through this, since the boat, you know, brings you. But got this big old military watchtower, and it's pretty straightforward. It's just walking up to the top, and you get some cool views looking out at the water here from this defensive point for the city. Alright, so we get back off this boat here. We'll go back up to the water walk here. And once again, you'll see this will continue around. I believe this pathway does circle the entire island, so you could walk all the way around and get back to here. But we're going to go back up this way and continue on with the tour. Alright, as we come around here, this is now technically the corner of Foster Street and Old Main Street. Old Main Street up ahead here is going to get into Thomas Square, which is sort of the real Old Town part of Old Town. It's the central square. It's where all like the colonial buildings are. And we'll get down there in a minute, but this is the end of Old Main Street. That's where you get into the parking garage here. We've got a restaurant here on the side. Again, pretty Pretty simple stuff in here right now. Got a couple of bars. It's just a building full of seating. Yeah, this one's pretty old too. I didn't do much with the interior, but I think I did update this little outdoor seating area here. No, I guess not as much as I thought, but we did give it a little awning and stuff, but that's something. Continuing down here, we're going to turn back onto Ledman Street here and continue down here. So first thing we have here on the left is a Laurendale Trading Company. This is just kind of a high-end clothing company. You can open the door. Just a clothing store. Meant to be fairly nice. We've got a little office here in the back. I don't think there's much to it. Yeah. But just a clothing store. We're getting into the nicer part of Old Town. And as I said before, Old Town is kind of the gentrification hotspot for Laurendale. So a lot of this stuff is going to be higher end, refurbished, restored, older buildings. Also surrounding, we'll get to this now, this is the Heron Crest Tower. This is the tallest building in the city. It's also the very first skyscraper that was built in the city. So it has yet to be beat. It's definitely gone through a couple of rounds of renovation because when I built it, I definitely had never been in a skyscraper before. So there's been a little bit more of an update onto like kind of how a lobby works for a building like this. There's just some loading docks and stuff back here. Not that exciting, but yeah, there's just some big rooms. We've got entrance to the parking garage back here. Again, just some kind of storage. There's not much in these rooms, but some check-in desks. And if we go up here, so we're going to get into the elevator bays. And one of the big things that I've been doing with the skyscrapers retroactively is updating these elevator bays because I was not aware when I built these buildings that skyscrapers tend to have multiple elevators. So a lot of these were built with like a single elevator, maybe two elevators to get to all the floors in this building, where if you don't know, most skyscrapers have many, many elevators. Anyway, so this is the Heron Crest building. This is the tallest building in the city. And we're going to turn right around across Ledman Street again. We've got a little bay of stores here. Little record shop. Yeah, not much to these. These are pretty straightforward. I'm going to stop saying things are outdated because most of this area is outdated, and you can tell. Appliance store. It's got a lot of refrigerators and stoves and stuff. There's some TVs back there. Is that still a thing that people sell in appliance stores? And a furniture store. Definitely should be updated because we've got a lot of furniture models now. But here we go. This is a little local furniture store with a little, whoa, okay. I don't know what that is. And I think, yeah, these two stores kind of go together. They're kind of would be the same company. And we've got another train station right here. This is Ledman Street Station for the red and blue lines. We'll see how updated this one is. It looks about the same. Let's go down and take a look. Much bigger station, at least. We've got a little bridge here. Go down. Yep, these were also built when I had not really been in a subway yet. Didn't realize that the train would take up the whole platform, you know what I mean? So this one, if I go to here, this would bring me to Knightley Street Station, which is where we were in the last video. Obviously this is the red line here and the blue line goes that way. Wow, Eastwood. That's not even a neighborhood that exists anymore. Eastwood was sort of the original name for what would become Little Salem. before most of it existed. There's a big historic castle that actually, even in real life, existed before the rest of the city, and it used to be much bigger, and it ate up most of what is now Little Salem. So when we tore down most of that castle, expanded the neighborhood, Eastwood became Little Salem, but there's still a sign for Eastwood down in that train station, so that shows you how outdated this is. Anyway, we are on the corner of, this would be the same corner again, Ledman and Foster is that way. Foster Street goes this way. This is Outer Street. We're going to turn down Outer Street. Outer Street is a one-way, which I started doing retroactively because a lot of these streets were really narrow. Still trying to find place for parking and stuff like that. But we've got a back entrance for Franklin Towers here. On the left rather, we've got Gordon Plaza, I guess. It's just another tower that's here. So you've got some more elevators. Another lobby that looks like I started to update, but I haven't really done much with because it's just a lot of empty space. But just an office tower. This one was renovated. This was, I believe, the second tower I did. So right after the Heron Crest building, this building was built. It did used to have the first working elevator in the city that you could use to get up to a few floors, and then it would take you all the way to the top. But remember what I said before about my little forced perspective thing. Getting up into these floors really felt really weird because the floors were just really small. So I kind of got rid of what was in here, and also most of the floor was taken up by the elevator, so we got rid of it. Right here we've got another big office tower. It does have an interior, but it's super strange. It's almost just like a big maze. I was really just exploring the space when I built this building. This is super old. There's not much in here. There's just very weird shaped units all through. But this looks like some kind of a jungle temple walking into this building. Anyway, we'll get to that one day, I'm sure. Moving on, we have right here on the corner. This would be Outer Street Brewing Company. This is, I believe, the first brewery we've covered in this video, or in this series. A handful of breweries we have around the area. Just a little craft brewery here with some seating upstairs. We've got a patio. Great little waterfront view from the patio. Now, a little plaza for this tower here. So now, if we go down here, you'll see parking lot for these couple of buildings, and then this would actually be that bypass that we talked about before. This is Munjoy Boulevard. And this goes back up to East Point. And here's the exit to street that we saw next to the firehouse here. So go back out, and we're right back over here. So coming right back around to Outer Street Brewing here. We're on the corner of Outer Street and Munjoy Boulevard. So Outer Street actually does make this corner here. This is one example of a handful of places in the city where the streets have, organically kind of morphed in different shapes, and you'd think this is a corner, but the way that the street used to be laid out, this was all one street, and I kind of, you see some irregularities like that, and I kind of kept them that way because that's how cities go. So we're going to continue down Outer Street, and this is going to hit Old Main Street again, and we're going to be right in the heart of Thomas Square. So Thomas Square is the super historic part of Old Town. This would be the original central square of the city. We've got a little plaza here with some benches and all that good stuff. A big old mill complex here that we'll get to in a minute. But let's go around the plaza here. Let's go around the square. Right here on the end, we've got Matthew's Tavern. This is the oldest bar in the city. Once again, canonically and literally in real life, because after I built the castle, which I wonder if you can see from here. Now it looks like it's too blocked by buildings. But the castle that was only a few blocks over was the original build of this city. I built a castle when I started playing Minecraft because that's what people were doing back in, I don't know, 2012 or something. And so I built a castle, and then I decided I was going to leave the castle and build a village. And so I started building this strip of buildings, and that was the very beginning of this city. So this is the first building in the city other than the castle itself. And we just got a pretty typical little dive bar going here. That's all there is to it. But this building has gone through quite a few facelifts to keep it up to this building's been important to me, so I've kept it up to date, at least on the outside. There's a couple of apartments in here. Yep, another one that a friend of mine has claimed and furnished. But it's a nice spacious apartment for this area. Lots of windows, very bright. I guess you could call it a balcony. It's the fire escape, but it works. Alright, right next door we've got a little thrift shop. Kind of like the pawn shop before, this is kind of just a room full of stuff. I'll just go down the rest of this side here. A lot of this is vacant right now. Yeah, that's empty. That's boarded up. And then this is back to what's down here is Laurendale Trading Company. But upstairs is some professional studios. So not really anything in them, but just some big open spaces you could use for whatever, just commercial space. Alright, so let's turn back around here. We're going to go right here to the corner, which is Network Cinemas. This is our first movie theater we'll be talking about in the build. Yep, this was also one of the first things that I built in the city. It's been very, very updated. I actually expanded the building to do about twice its size. You can sit down and watch a movie. A little projector there. Oh, this is... Oh, got myself a little lost here. Here's another another cinema. How do I get out of here? Got myself lost. Okay. But yeah, there's that. All right, continuing around the plaza here. We've got what again looks kind of like an old firehouse, just an older building that has been renovated. This is a wine bar, so a little bit more upscale. Again, without furniture models, it's kind of hard to tell, but that's what it's intended to be. A lot of this stuff is a little more high-end, a little more trendy. Yeah. So back out here on Robert Street, once again, Robert Street turns this corner. A lot of this area has been redesigned because I didn't really know how cities were designed back then when I made this area. So there's some weird irregularities with some of the way the streets go. So continuing down past the wine bar, right on the corner, we've got just a big McDonald's here, right on the water, where it should be. Two-story McDonald's based on one that I found in my area that I thought was interesting, and I figured for some place like this, a little bit of a smaller footprint area, the 2 stories make sense. So coming back here onto Ledman Street, yep, we've got Unity Bank, the Unity Bank building. I believe the first Unity Bank building that was built. Unity Bank is one of the 2 larger banks in the city. There are a handful of banks that I've kind of founded, I guess, throughout the city. This is one of the bigger ones. How to get upstairs here? Looks like right here. Yep, and you can get up here and get to the to some of the offices. This little cubicle farm on this side, and it looks like a oh, same here, but then you can get upstairs here. I see. And then we've got some larger offices, a little bit more private space. It's away from the public. All right, so to go back downstairs, I believe there should be a vault. I have no idea what it looks like. Yep. We've got a little security office here. I believe you have to turn both of these. Yes, to get into the vault. I had entirely forgotten about this vault. We've got a few banks around, but I think this is the only one that really has a vault like that. Lots of doors, lots of security. Let's turn back onto Old Main Street. We're going to go straight down. If we continue down past the park, we're going to get into this mill here. Big old mill complex. Some of it's working, some of it's not. It's got a lot of big empty spaces. There's not a lot of things in here, but you can fully explore the buildings. Now this is what I mean when I say I don't often furnish a lot of the interiors, especially in a big place like this. But the interiors are all here. The interiors are here to the point that they should be if this were a vacant building, which in the case of this is very possible that this is just an entirely vacant building. We've got a big spiral staircase here. Alright, and this will stick me back out onto... Oh, this is onto Outer Street again. Not where I thought we were. I forgot that we crossed the sky bridge there. And I'm sure I've left a door open somewhere. I have no idea where that is, but I'll find it one day. Oh, right here. Great. Continue down past the mills, and we hit the Laurendale City Pier. Just a big public space with a couple of, they assume to be import warehouses or something of like. There's a little back place back here, another truck, bunch of loading docks. We're seeing the back sides now of Little Salem. These are the townhouses. Look off the pier here, and we can see Little Cove Lighthouse. Just a tiny little lighthouse and a little beach shack there on a public beach. It's accessible from the waterfront walk once again. We're on the north side of the island, so you can see the waterfront walk has continued all the way around. In front of us we have Richards Island, which is just kind of a big notable uninhabited island. So back in Thomas Square. I'm going to come to another tower here. We're kind of getting to the other edge of Old Town. This residential tower is called Old Town Crossing. Got a big pullout here for it. It's got a train station. Come in here, we've got some kind of public areas. We've got a leasing office. We've got a little cafe. And then we have a hell of a mailroom and stairs and elevators up to the apartments. These apartments are all over. They're all very different. This is a studio. But they're 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms. Yeah, I'm not finding good examples right now, but a lot of them do have little balconies and such. And then all the way at the top, we've got public rooftop access. Not much space, but it is a little viewing deck open to the public, or at least the residents of this building. Let's go at the back here. We're going to exit out onto Carrigan Street, I believe. Yes. And we've got a couple more things to go through here, and then we're going to be pretty done. So we've got another tower here. This is another tech company, I believe. I've got a few of those around here. Big, ornate lobby. Again, not the most useful use of space, but you know, sometimes you got to go that way for the sake of architecture. And we've got a little elevator bay here with some security. We pop all the way through here to the other side, onto the back. The back that faces the front. This is Broadway here. Out here onto the waterfront walk. It goes down below, but there's a little bit of a second deck here. We'll get there in a second, but right here we've got Robert Street Market, which is kind of a high-end supermarket. Pretty compact, as a lot of these things are, but do a little loading dock here. Little cafe, some self-checkout. Back out onto Robert Street, and I believe this is how you get up to the apartments. The apartments in this building are very nice. I'll go find one for you. So I believe this apartment is finished. Yes, okay. So this is a 1-bedroom. We've got a little kitchenette here. Living room. Fantastic view out front. This goes back down to the bedroom, which is not furnished, but little condo. Pretty nice. These are 1 and 2 bedrooms. So crossing Broadway, heading down here, down to the waterfront walk. Once again, you'll see where it picks up from down by the tower there, the lookout tower. It continues all the way around, heading into downtown right here. We've got some sort of municipal space in here with some garages. All right, so that about covers Old Town. Thanks for watching again. We'll get into the next area soon. We'll get over into downtown, which is, I think, one of the parts that a lot of people want to see. So thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.